Story time. So I've been asked mostly on Facebook, because I posted over there, to tell stories about some of the things that I have been through with Nicholas. Some of them have seen some of the videos or one of the last two that I put up and wanted me to elaborate. So the story I'm going to elaborate on today is going to revolve around my vehicles. So it's snow covered right now, but over there is my '02 Chevy Tahoe. And that is the truck that I had with Nicholas when we were married. That's a whole nother story time. But the day before he tried to strangle me to death, he was working on the brake system of that truck. And he had for I want to say about 4 months prior to trying to strangle me to death, he was very insistent that I leave the house, get out more, all that kind of stuff. And I felt like he was really pushing me. And because he was so insistent about it, the more he pushed me to do it, the less I wanted to actually be in that truck at all. Whole nother story time for that too. So he was working on the brake system of that truck, and he had all 4 tires off. I don't remember exactly what he was supposed to be doing. It could have just been replacing pads. But I also know that day, the day before that, he had also had the entire dash removed from the truck, and he was messing with electrical stuff under the dash. If he did anything with that, I haven't really ripped that apart to look at it, and I'm not mechanically inclined enough to really know what I'm looking at if I were to do that. But then he tried to strangle me to death. He took off in the truck that day right after. And he was sending me messages telling me he was leaving the state, all this stuff. Well, meanwhile, I had already called the police. I sent the police over to, I believe it was his aunt and uncle's house. And he was working for his boss that day, but at his boss's property. So he had come home during lunch to get a phone charger, and that's when everything blew up. But he didn't want to surrender the keys to the officers because he ended up coming back to the house when he found out that I called the cops. Didn't want to give the keys to the officers. Fought with them about it. Finally handed them up. And during our divorce, he was in default because he didn't file his answer in time, even though he was in the jail 30 feet from the courthouse. And all of the vehicles were always in his name, even when we were married. So I had to do a preservation of assets hearing so that I would be able to get the Tahoe. He had vehicles. I only knew of one other vehicle besides this one, and it was the other one that was parked at our house, but our car insurance informed me that he had at least 2 other vehicles that were not declared, and I never knew anything about. So he had a whole secret life that I didn't know about. But anyway, so while we were in that hearing, he was upset because he didn't want to give me the truck. And during that hearing, he stated that the truck was not safe to drive anyways, as if that had any bearing on whether or not the judge was going to award it to me. I did end up getting the truck awarded to me, and that really sparked something for me, because I think it was like 2 weeks after he tried to kill me, I had asked somebody to look at my truck because the brakes didn't feel right when I was trying to slow down. It wasn't really working. It felt like there was some grab, but not what I was used to in the truck, and something felt off. So I had somebody look at it, and sure enough, the calipers had been loosened on my brakes. So Nick is one of those people that he will do the bad things, but he will do the bad things that give him an out. Loosening the calipers on my brakes could easily be blamed on mechanical failure. And I was very suspicious as soon as I heard him state that the brakes, or that the truck wasn't safe to drive. That immediately made me think, okay, he did that on purpose. And I kept warning people, like, if something happens to me, it's him. And even if it looks like an accident, it's him. And at the time, they were people that I thought I could trust, but they ended up not being. I don't recall how long after that court hearing it was, but one of his girlfriends had reached out to me and told me that, and see, I don't think our divorce was final yet at this point. But she reached out to me and told me that he admitted to her that he planned for those brakes to fail. That was his intention all along. And she also told me that he was driving by my house, with her and her kids in the car. And his obsession over me is what sparked a giant argument between them. And she broke up with him and then contacted me, letting me know that he drove by and wanting to know my side of the story. And her name is Alicia Fuller. I did report this to Officer Barrett in Central Lake. He was actually with me when I was told that he planned to, he rigged my brakes to fail. He was in front of me because I had already called him in the beginning of the conversation with her, and I wanted him arrested for stalking me. I was under the impression during the whole court case that the 500-yard protection, or distance that he was supposed to have with me was supposed to be all the way through his probation. It turned out that the judge who sentenced him did not add that in. And I wasn't aware of that. So I thought I was protected from him driving by my house without the PPO at the time. I was not. And that's the court system and everything I was told. That's a whole nother story time. Multiple different story times for that. But today we're on vehicles. So today, my Tahoe isn't the only thing we're going to talk about. I will say, though, that there is another incident with the Tahoe. After I filed the police report with the cops about the brake failure and the stalking, he ended up dating a different Fuller girl. Her name is Allison. And some time had elapsed, and she contacted me and told me that she was with me the day that Nick went to go help a friend with their tires. And when she tried to get out of the vehicle, she was yelled at and told to get back in. And he was upset because when he got back in, because he broke the drill bit off in the tire, and he was mad about that. His drill bit broke. Now, right after I filed the police report, I started noticing that 2 tires in that Tahoe were going flat. And I just kept putting air in them because I wasn't driving it that often. I was dating somebody else. They had a vehicle. We were together. We were always in that person's vehicle. I very rarely drove that. And I honestly felt better not driving it because I know he knows that truck. And it was while it was parked in the front of the house that my tires started going flat. And he was stealing my mail from this address as well. When thieving it from the mailbox wasn't good enough, he decided to change my address to his to try and prevent me from getting court paperwork where it needed to go. And drilling holes in my tires, I'm pretty sure, was revenge for me reporting him to the cops. And when I found the drill bit, this was before his girlfriend told me about it, I ended up finding the drill bit. I spent some time outside and I was like, I really want to see if I could figure out where these tires are going flat. And lo and behold, I found the drill bit. I have it in my evidence. It's about yay long, and I have shared a picture of this on Facebook. It's 2 different colors. Part of it is like black, probably from being in the elements, the outside. And the other part of it is like a golden color. And when I found it, I knew immediately this wasn't, I ran it over and it's in my tire. No way. Do you want to know how I knew? So let's say this is your tire right here. These are your treads, right? These little boxes are your treads if you're looking at the tire face on. The drill bit was directly in the center of the 2 treads that were the topmost treads. And it was sticking out about 1/4 of an inch further than the treads on the tires. So I find this drill bit and immediately I tell Clayton, because that's who I'm dating at the time, I was like, hey, come out here and look at this. And he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And I tell him, I said, I just found a fucking drill bit in my tire. And he's like, oh, you probably ran it over. Like, there's a million reasons a drill bit would be in your tire. And I'm like, okay, but for me, this is screaming Nick. And I told him, I was like, think about it. When did my tires start going flat? Like right after I reported him the last time. This is a revenge tactic for him. And Clayton talked me out of it. And I was like, all right, you know what, bitch, you're being fucking crazy. Like, he's not gonna come do this. Like, he's occupied with other women. Like, just leave it go. Let it be. But I kept the drill bit because something told me, hang on to it. And I'm glad I did, because Allison came forward and let me know after he raped and sodomized her that she was with him the day that he did it. And I asked her, I didn't tell her the story. So there's no way she could have known these details unless she was with him or got them from Nick himself. She described to me where she went, what the house looked like, what the outside looked like. She described to me the Tahoe. And she told me how he was mad about his drill bit being broken. I got the other piece. I got to keep that. Guess that cost you a little bit of money. Shucky darn. Bet you it's cheaper than 2 new tires, though. So she described all of these things to me. And I tried calling to make another police report. I tried talking to the undersheriff of Antrim County directly over the phone. And I expressed to him that I did not trust Antrim County Police, that I had waited for a while. And there's multiple reasons why I don't trust them. They're involved to some degree, or at least one of the old cops is. I don't know if he's still a cop, but they're involved in destroying things that belong to me. Things that I lent to other people because their stuff burnt down. And I know they're involved because there was a police report made on that, and we know who was involved in it. But not only did they destroy my things, Nick started attacking those people. He dragged trees down over these people's driveway on their property so that they could not get to their property. When I lent them my vehicle after they lost theirs in the fire, the Tahoe, I was having pictures sent to me by different people of other people driving my Tahoe and asking me why I was ignoring them. Why are you being creepy? Why are you keeping tabs on me? And how is it that the day after you get that picture to me, that you see them driving my vehicle, you send me a picture, how is it the day after that, everything on their property, on their new piece of property that they are trying to rebuild on, is destroyed? That's the kind of stuff I'm dealing with. This car, it is a really shitty but good baby Ford Taurus, baby blue. My tires were old, admittedly. I needed to get new ones. But after he got married and Children's Services came to talk to me about how he was with children, I got nails in my tires. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 4 new tires for the car too. I used to leave my keys in my car. I guess I got comfortable. And if you can't tell, my car is like my safe space. It's the only place I can be where I know for a fact that nobody's listening to me. It's where I plan everything because I can't trust anybody. So I come out one morning, my driver's door is wide open. My hood is shut, but it is popped. About a week later, I start noticing that my vehicle has this weird, it's bogging down as I'm driving or just sitting idling. It will run just fine and then it will bog down. Like there's some kind of drain. And I'm still not 100% on what's causing it. I have my battery started to literally boil. It was spewing acid out of the top of it, not just in steam, like it was splashing out. And it smelled like the most awful eggs ever. I think I drove it for 3 days like that. I had to jump it every time after that. Oh, and my key was turned on. The day that my door was open, my key was turned all the way on, battery dead. It hadn't run out of gas. So it wasn't started, but my key was on as far as it would go without the engine running. I quit leaving the keys in the car after that. And see, that my car door being open had happened once before that, but I thought it was my oldest daughter because she was sitting out here in the car. And I hadn't joined her that evening. So she was out here by herself and I thought, well, fuck, she left my fucking door open all night. That's great. Now I question whether or not it was her. So my current boyfriend offers me a battery. Fix the battery problem. Okay, we can do that. I think that battery lasted 2 days before it started doing the same exact thing. I did replace it with a brand new battery and a brand new alternator, put those in, and as far as I can tell, it quit. But the bog down still happens. And then my blower motor and my heater seized. So I just replaced that. I just put that in less than a week ago. And I thought, okay, great. This is like, maybe that's what the bog down problem was. It was not. It just bogged down on me not yesterday, the day before. And I'm not sure why. But I did notice that with everything that I have replaced, it has become less. I'm debating on how to solve this issue. Whether I switch back to the truck, which kind of sucks because I need to have brake lines done to that, all 4 of them, and that's not cheap. And I also need to I purchased the parts already, not the brake lines, but I purchased all the parts to have brakes done all the way around. But I've never done brakes myself before. And it concerns me that I might do it wrong, especially knowing that just loosening the calipers could have caused what it could have caused. But I got new rotors, drums, pads, shoes, whatever. I got all that. I got to get calipers yet. Because 2 of them are seized, but all of my brake lines are bad, and I'm not really surprised because it has been sitting now for like 3 years. I do know that for a while he did not think that I still had the Tahoe. We left it at a dealership for a month, maybe 2, in their parking lot there before I took it to Ohio. And then the mechanic there found 2 GPS trackers on it. One of them was like a box, and it was like this big. And another one was just like this little clamp thing, and it had clamps on both ends, and there was 2 wires hanging off of it, and then it had like this weird little chip looking thing in the center of it, and it had a blue light on it, and it was hooked to my battery cable. So yeah, but he stomped on the microchip one, dunked it in a bucket of oil, and the other one he smashed up with a hammer and dumped it in the same bucket of oil. Like, he showed me what they were, and then he made sure that they were no longer operational. But I don't have those. Like, I wish I kept them. But at the same time, I was a little nervous to keep them because I don't really know how they work. So how do I know there's not like some kind of, for him to retrieve it? Because I think the one had memory card in it. Do you remember those old camera cards? You stick them in the camera slot and they hold out SD cards. But it looks like one of those, only small. So I didn't know if like there would be a way for him to use it to figure out where I was at. So I really didn't want them on my person. I didn't want them anywhere near where I was staying because I thought at the time that he didn't know where I was, and that didn't last very long. He figured out exactly where I was. And he sent people in his family to come down first before he did. I ran into people in the store. I was out and about working, and what business do you have coming down there? I know one of them was on a drug run to Florida when I saw him. I don't know if he saw me. I saw him. And I heard him talking on the phone about his business. So, yeah, there's different things that I have dealt with my vehicles. I don't yet have proof that he was the one that did the stuff with my batteries, but I am highly suspicious, and every time where I have been highly suspicious like this, it has been because he's been involved. Now, I know that things go wrong on vehicles, especially older ones, and I'm not denying that. I just find it really strange that every time I talk to somebody in a position of authority, something goes wrong with my vehicle. Every time. And I guess what irks me the most about it is it's not just about my safety. I drive my children places in this car. His children places in this car. He doesn't care. He has not cared one bit about whether or not we stay alive. And it's all motivated by money and his image. He can't stand it when somebody confronts him with something he's done wrong. I am betting that since my posting, he has threatened that he's going to commit suicide because that's what he does. This is a pattern. And I know for a fact he's not going to do it. This is manipulation to the people around him who are finding out who he is. He wants them to forget about the proof that I'm putting out and focus on the fact that he's talking about killing himself. He's not going to do it. He's too much of a bitch. He won't. He does this. If you look at his history, not just with me, but I know that he's tried to cry wolf and play victim several times since we've separated. And if you pay attention, every time he's claimed to be suicidal, it's because he has done something to one of his women and they have confronted him with his shitty actions. Guaranteed. Every time. Oh. Some things should not be said. Fuck it. You know what? I'm going to say it anyways. I wish he would. I do. Because in my reality, it's me or him. And every time I try to make sure that it's not me, he does something to try and ensure that it is. Or at least cause incredible inconvenience. In more than one sense. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to have your tires flattened. It's also expensive. And it's another one of those things like, I'm still here. I'm still controlling you. I still have pull. I'm still getting away with it. See, when I posted before, I was in a really desperate position. But since I've shared a bunch of stuff, I have had new resources opened up. And I may be taking steps to handle some things. I'm not going to say what those are. But it has helped to relight my fire. A lot of the posts that I put on Facebook, especially. And a couple of people who I deem close to me have been really encouraging as well. So it's made things a little easier. I am still nervous. Like, this is putting him on blast like this. It is a risk, but if I'm putting it out there, what he's done, he's less likely to be able to get away with it for somebody else. I know I'm not the only one. Allison has had her own vehicle problems. When I told her that I was suspicious he drilled holes in my tires, she didn't come up with that right away. I think there had been some time elapse between that conversation and her being like, oh shit, when I forgot to tell you, sparked a memory when you said that, because she apparently went and thought about it for a while and was like, wait a minute. And then she put it together in her head, came back and relayed it to me, because he played it off to her like he was just going to help somebody with their tires. She didn't know it was my house, my truck. But then she told me that she knows that he's driven by that house with her in the car multiple times, and that he was using her car to do it for a while. And that's what he did with Alicia. He used her car to drive by for a while. And he tried to work on Alicia's car, and Alicia told him no. Because she said something about it, like, my gut told me, don't let him. So, and after he admitted to her that he rigged my brakes to fail, if I had been dating a dude that said that, I would probably be leery about him working on my car too. And then, I guess Allison was driving, and one of her tires almost flew off after Nick worked on her car. I know that his uncle's shop in Central Lake, his uncle was employing him while we were still married and still together. And his uncle ended up having to fire him because he wasn't doing a good enough job. And I really don't think that it is because he's incompetent. He's been working on vehicles his whole motherfucking life. Okay. Like with his grandfather. Different story time. But he's mechanically inclined. He's not dumb. And he's done the brakes in vehicles hundreds of times. There's no way that he didn't do that shit on purpose. And especially telling somebody about it. And then when Allison and him were together and she had a vehicle, he did something to her vehicle, and she said tire almost flew off twice, and then she got a flat, and then like a week later another flat. So he likes doing things to tires. And she had just had a big fight with him, and I want to say it had something to do with her kids. He was upset that she brought one of her children there. And it wasn't even long term. They were visiting. But he was upset about that. Let's see. What else? I don't know if there is anything else with vehicles. And if there is, I'm not aware of it yet. Like I said, that one's been sitting for 3 years. And I'm still gonna try and figure out what I'm gonna do about that. Because this one is not great in the wintertime. And they're both 20 years old. So it might be one of those, like, give up on them both, which might be a better idea. Because I know he knows what this one is too. Him and Amanda Martinez pulled up behind my car and were pointing at it and making gestures towards it and other things while I was sitting in it. So that's fun. But anyway, so I think that wraps up this story time. I think so. I don't know if I said anything about it or not, but the cops never did anything about him driving by or doing anything to my vehicle. I did try to talk to the undersheriff, and expressed that I didn't trust these cops around here and that I wanted to talk to him directly. He told me to hang up, dial 911, and file an information report. No. No. Because some of these police officers are involved. And whenever I have tried to call and report him for violating the PPO or probation or anything else, they basically treat me like I'm a crazy lady. And I'm not being taken seriously. So I don't want to go that route. I don't want to be the next fucking story on Dateline or the next horrible tragedy near Traverse City because cops didn't want to do their jobs. No, I want to force people to do their job. So that's why I'm putting everybody out here. That's why I'm telling the stories. I'm going to try and keep posting. I know some people are probably going to send me friends requests on Facebook and whatnot. I can't add people because I don't know who I can trust and whether or not Nick can use that to his advantage. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. I can't take that risk. I've had, I don't know how many friends requests I got over that post. Too many. And I'm still going through messages and stuff. And I really haven't responded to a whole lot of people. And that's because A, it's tiring telling the same story over and over again. B, like I'm not asking for anything, you know. I don't want money. I don't want, you know, conversations. And I know people want to reach out and tell their stories too. And I guess like it's not that I don't care, but it's that I can't focus on somebody else and their issues and everything right now because I'm trying to make moves in my own situation. And I don't want to be rude to people or sound like I'm not giving it the attention it deserves because everybody's story is valid. So I don't want to come off like crass or half-hearted. I don't really know how else to explain that. I know I'm tired of the county not doing their job. Because if you put all of this together, I mean, even just the rigging my calipers to fail and drilling holes in my tires, like, I have proof of those two by themselves, and you would think they would do something. And they don't care. They don't care. Or they're helping him. Yeah. And it's hard to pinpoint his vehicles because he changes them. Has other people use their vehicle to drive by while he's in the passenger seat. Or he'll be in the driver's seat driving their vehicle while they're in the passenger seat if it's a female. See, like, plus I just recently, I found proof that he is working under the table and that he is employed by the Swains family. Which isn't surprising because there's family history there. And Alan knows them really well. So he lives 2 miles that way. and he works maybe 2 minutes up the road that way, beyond his house, his road. If you go out to the main road, it's 131, and it's like it's definitely less than 5 minutes driving towards Kalkaska. So, yeah, he's here full time. And he likes causing problems. And I would be very willing to bet that all of the stuff that has happened to my vehicles has been done, well, where I'm at right now, in the dark, at nighttime. Because we've caught him prowling around out here at night with his phone flashlight. And then he's dumb enough that there's a group of trees over there on the side of the house. And it's like right, I guess you can kind of see it. Right here. There's trees over here. And one night we were sitting in my car on the side of the house, and it was in a place that I don't normally park in. And he comes up over there because there's an oil well over there, or a gas well. It's one of these ones. Anyway, it's up back there on the property. And there's a drive that's right next to where all those trees and stuff are over there. So he parks down by the stop sign over there, turns vehicle off, walks the couple houses, comes up the oil well road, and then on this side of the trees, thinking that we're not going to see him, staring at his phone. Dude, your face is all lit up. It's not picture quality proof. You can't tell in the picture who it is, but we fucking see you right there. So we sit here in the car with the fucking doors locked until we know you're not here. Not gonna call the fucking cops. What are they gonna do? Nothing. They'll probably help you. Like they have been. Probably help you. I do have video of him coming from the neighbor's yard. He parked his truck down by the stop sign, and it's loud as fuck. I don't know what he was driving at the time. All I know is that it was loud. And I want to say it was a red truck. I think that's pretty sure it was a red truck pickup. Because earlier that day, just as it was getting dark out, like it was dark, but it wasn't late. And I was laying in bed, because I do that sometimes from time to time after being exhausted, going through evidence, trying to research shit and everything else. I heard a loud truck, and it came from that direction, turned around in our driveway, and then it was just sitting there idling, and I was like, just outside of our driveway. So I hear Alicia in the living room, and she gets up, and she's looking out the window. I'm looking out the window in my bedroom. We're looking. We hear it. We don't see it. They have the lights turned off. And a car drove by. I was trying to remember like how we figured out it was a truck. There was a car that came up the road and illuminated it. And that's how we figured out what color it was. So me and Alicia see the truck in the headlights of the other car, and I get up out of bed. I'm putting my shoes on. She's putting her shit on. When we get to the door, coming out onto the porch, I heard Alan, and he was like, hurry up, here she comes. And then they both start laughing. They had dragged this like tarp thing. I think it was a camper cover or something. But it smelled like it come out of the swamp. There was dead leaves that were all black and nasty and everything all over it. It had ropes and like these plastic tie jugs, or these plastic jugs tied to it. And they left it like in the road, half in front of our driveway, half in front of the mailbox. And it was like, it looked like something was underneath of it. I was afraid I was going to go out there and find something dead. And I came back up to the house because they had taken off. And you can hear this truck go from here, take Musser, all the way down to Soderquist. You could hear it all the way down by the Starlight Campground. I mean, that's how loud this truck was. We heard it go all the way back to town. Now, granted, there was nothing else to hear. So, and it was a really clear night that night too. But he come back a couple hours later, stalking in the yard, went across the neighbors with his flashlight up by his garage and shit, walks halfway across the neighbor's yard, then turns the flashlight off, turns it back on again. I don't know if he couldn't see. And then about when he got to the road, he turned it back off again. But we could still see the silhouette of this person coming through the front yard. And I was parked over there on the side of the driveway in a different spot, because if you're in the same spot all the time, you're not going to get anything. He's going to find a way to work around where you're at. And he come all the way up to where my propane tank is. And I think that's when he seen us parked over there, because I had the light on in my car. But I'm pretty sure that's when he noticed us, and he took off back towards his truck. And about 3 minutes later, maybe 4, we heard the truck start up, and he turned around and went back. So I know he's out here. I know he has help. I know I'm not being heard. I'm being stopped from going up to the courthouse and talk to the prosecutor, friend of the court, victim's advocate. They stopped me at the door. Not sure why. The only thing I can come up with is the little fake rent-a-cop, whatever he is, the old guy, tall, skinny dude, white hair, like old guy. The old guy is the one that stopped me at the door of the courthouse. He's the same dude that gave Nick my backpack of stuff the day that Nick got sentenced for trying to strangle me to death. And 30 days. 30 days is what he got for that. He got more time for trying to hack my email than he did for trying to take my life, because of the plea deal that the prosecutor gave him. Dan Rose, and I think it was Chris Rossiter. That sounds right. Yep. Maybe it was Dave Rossiter. Anyways, Dan Rose. Piece of shit. I think the reason he gave Nick that plea deal is because I refused to testify in another case. And the other case was the landlord who owned the house that I was in, who was also Nick's friend, his aunt's best friend, who was also I believe it was county treasurer he was for a while. Yeah, I don't see. It's difficult. It's very difficult. But I'm trying. We will get there eventually.